You want to start or what? Let's try something different. You can't heal something unless you're brave enough to say it out loud. I'm not bound by myself. Say the thing you're afraid to say. Say it out loud, no matter what it is, no matter how bad. What did you do?
All right, my frangulums. Ready? Well, let's officially get into this. We open a kitchen timer. Is that important to the story? I don't know. It says 45, so does that mean they're having a 45-minute session? It's important to remember, like always, this is the brand new character for season 2. This character that she plays, I forget if they've told us her name yet. I've seen people online theorizing that she's part of the Seraphites, but I don't. There's no way that she is, because a Seraphite's in the woods and they all dress a certain way, even though the women don't shave their heads and the men do. How she is in part of the show, like I have a feeling she's not a good person. Want her to look like one, but she's actually evil or something. Having a therapy session, and how long Joel's been doing this, who knows? Likely it happened after falling out. That's definitely going to happen between him and Ellie. Spoiler alert, after the game 1, Ellie eventually finds out that Joel saved her instead of saving potentially the world, and that F's up Ellie a lot. So is this therapy session something that began after that? Or has he been doing it for years? Like after season 1, where did this lady even come from? Was she always there? Did she somehow come into the city? This lady's origin story is still a complete mystery. You see Joel's hair is longer, so, you don't hear anything out of Joel the entire trailer. Like, you don't hear his voice, you don't hear Ellie or Ella's voice. Here we have what looks like Ellie is likely Ellie coming out of a barn or a shed of some sort. Aggressively, perhaps there's something that she discovers in the barn, but what would she discover in there that would make her so mad? We get a nice wide shot of Jackson, and it seems like it's grown a lot since last season. And I'm also wondering how much of this, like this top part, looks totally fake. CGI doesn't look as good as it used to anymore. It used to look realistic, but now it doesn't look. Jackson is alive and bustling. People are walking around doing stuff. No, they went back to Canmore, the only Alberta location, to shoot more Jackson stuff. Could be in Canmore, but BC looks a lot like this too, so it could be BC. We get a bigger, wider shot of just looks all like Canmore. That sign right there actually looks like a sign from a real place in Canmore that they didn't change. Over here, we see something that looks like 2 gray hills, Indian arts and jewelry. So over here it says something Creek Square. Maybe that's what it used to be called before they call it Jackson or Miller. So Joel has his own house, though I believe he still had his own house at the end of season 1. But he even has his name written on it. It's all official. Here's an interesting shot because Joel, and I don't know if this is Joel's guitar or Ellie's guitar, because Ellie is seen a lot playing it too. But interesting to note that there's 2 Nirvana signs in the background and Pearl Jam. That's In Utero. That's 10. I really like In Utero. It's my favorite Nirvana album. Is this Joel picking this up in his bedroom? There's no reason why Ellie wouldn't listen to this stuff, but this could also be the stuff that Joel grew up on when he was a kid. And since there seems to be a sort of indigenous symbolism in this show more than season one, the moth actually represents like regeneration or rebirth or something like that, which, is in the game that they use to kind of symbolize Ellie and Joel's relationship and kind of like Ellie regenerating from the past of what she has with Joel and whatnot and moving on and rebirth, having the rebirth of what she goes through in the games / the show. So that's what the moth on the guitar symbolizes. It's a nice little moment where Joel's probably teaching her how to play guitar, or says a lot in that look. Like, this guy's my dad, essentially what she's kind of saying with that look. He's like, this girl's my daughter. So this shot here, we only see one person, and I'm thinking this is Abby. She's on her quest. Abby goes on a quest. Try not to say too much. I'm saying certain things. I mean, last season, if you haven't watched last season yet, too bad. Spoil things about that, but I don't want to spoil anything about season 2, which I know is all going to happen. In general, I'm sure they'll take some creative liberties like they already did with Catherine O'Hara. So I think that there is Abby. And this is Dina and Ellie going on their quest. This looks a little bit too much like a set, though. All the dressing and whatnot. Ellie's playing guitar. There's a lot of guitar in this season, this trailer. And there's Dina just staring at her. Oh, she's so beautiful, I love her. I'm still very concerned, or not very concerned, about their chemistry as like will it work? Because spoiler alert, yes, they will become a couple. But at this point, they kind of are, but they haven't really said it out loud. But note the gun on both their hips, like they've had proper training with guns now, so they know how to use them, which does make sense. So they would be better at it. Especially Ellie, 'cause, she didn't have a clue how to shoot a gun last season. So here she is, looking at her with love in her eyes and shit in her pants. I love you so much. So this location, where could they be? Somewhere on Jackson that they go hang out, or is it somehow during their new journey they're taking a break somewhere? And they don't show what song she's playing, but also in the background, I didn't know at first, it's a Pearl Jam song that you hear. There's a shot here, a shot of Joel just sitting on porch. This is definitely after they've had their little falling out. Why she's coming over there, who knows? He's like, oh, Ellie's here. Is he expecting her, or is it a surprise visit? But you can see in her face how mad she is. Like, she knows what he did, and I guess she can't forgive him for it. And here's our first shot of young Mazzino looking buff. Other character that they always around in Jackson the whole time, but now we're just seeing them, or they somehow become, move there. But it's him and Tommy doing some rebuilding of some sort. Big old triceps busting out of his shirt. It's Ellie, definitely with the tattoo. A theory is that this is what she's using to tattoo herself, because, tattooing is like cutting your arm up and then rubbing ink into it, essentially. Is that what she did? But why does she have this bloody switchblade, other than the fact that she could have been just tattooing herself? Here's a shot of Tommy with lots of concern on his face. She has this look on her face like she's discovering something. And then the flashlight, that's actually a part of the game. There's always a flashlight on your shoulders. So right, we have a clicker, a different kind of looking clicker with the way their head is spun up. It's like an earlier phase, where you eventually the head gets like basically explodes from the inside in a way. Somehow knowing to creep up, because they can't, clickers are blind, so that's why they're called clickers. They use sound to figure out where they are. So this clicker somehow able to sneak up on her without making a noise. Perhaps it's able to detect Ellie's noise, because if this thing makes any noise, she's going to turn around immediately. So where is this clicker coming from? How did it know to be hiding? Is this the same shed that we saw her come out of earlier? Actually, no, I don't think so, because she's wearing a backpack, and I don't believe she was wearing a backpack in the earlier shot. In this scene, Catherine O'Hara again is saying, "What did you do?" It's essentially what she just keeps saying during the whole trailer. What did you do? Not like in a "What did you do, Joel?" as in like say out loud what you did. Here we get our first clear shot of Kaitlyn. She's here at a graveyard. I know whose grave that is, but I'm not going to tell you. All's going to have to figure that out yourself. Is she looking at somebody else, or is she kind of just looking off in the distance to say, must go on this journey? In the games, there's a 5-year jump between 1 and 2, but I don't think that would work for the show. I mean, it would take Abby 5 years to like figure out what she figures out. Thinking it could almost be that year or even less. Yeah, this shot here is interesting because a giant swarm of clickers, but why are they running right at Jackson? But at the same time, clickers don't herd together like that. There's like a herd. They don't herd together like that, at least in the games. They're essentially like they're never really in groups. There's always just one. It could be one or two or three in the same room, but they're always separate because, like I said, they're blind. So maybe they don't even know their homies in there is there if neither of them are making noises. But how is this happening? How is a gigantic herd of clickers running, and why are they running at Jackson? Very curious to know how that would be even a possible. But yes, he's seeing what we just saw, and he's like, "Holy shit, we's fucked." And here we have Abby again, who the very first teaser I thought was Ellie, but this is the part that happens in the game where these clickers are coming at her, and the fence falls on her, and she has to crawl away. These clickers, even just judging from the hands, look like they're in the early phase. So it's like people are still getting infected. I mean, they haven't figured out another way other than Ellie's blood. And here, it's right after she climbed out of the fence, a clicker comes at her. Yeah, so as you can see, someone's about to blow this motherfucker's head off. But what's interesting here is like the long hair makes me think it's female, but it could be a guy with just long hair. But it's interesting how one half still seems okay, but the other half is starting to bloom with that creepy fungus stuff. Just like in the games, they would show the progression of how, since the last game, the like clickers are way more deformed and like disturbing and gross. They just know with the hive mind that they don't want to kill people; they just want to bite them, so they keep going. But what do clickers actually eat? Do they eat humans also? Do they eat that deer? Do they go into the woods and hunt? I don't know. And here is another shot of people on the horse. Very lovely shot with the background, but it's hard to say who that is. It could be Joel and Tommy, and there's someone riding on the back of both. Abby riding somewhere. Here's the first real close-up shot of a Seraphite. All the men are bald, but the women have their hair. Interesting to see is that there's a scar on both sides of their face that look the same. Like they think of the Joker or something from The Dark Knight. Did I ever tell you how I got these scars? Maybe it was in the game, but I mean, in the games, you don't get close enough to a Seraphite to like notice that kind of stuff. So right here, feel her love. It could be Catherine Harris' character, but I don't think. I feel like, is this the mirror of that same shot? I'm not sure, because there's Dina there. Probably being surrounded by clickers or something. Probably being dragged by a horse. I don't know who that could be. I hope it's not who I think it is, but could be a good guy, could be a bad guy. Hard to say. It looks like a male. Whoever it is, it looks like a male. Here's another Seraphite that's been captured. I believe it's the Seraphite that's from the game that becomes kind of part of the game. Then we have our man over here, Mr. Jeffrey Wright. So yeah, he's been beating him up, chained him up. There he is, looking pretty serious. His face is beat up too, so did they get into a fight? I mean, he definitely looks way more beat up than Jeffrey Wright. Well, that's the wall outside Jackson, and why are they attacking it so aggressively? I can't tell if that's blood spraying off their face because of how hard they smacked into the wall, or it's like, paint on the actual wall. It's blood. See, this fucker ran into this wall so hard because they're all out of their minds. They cut his head open. There's like different advanced stages of clickers. Like these are like way early. And this looks like a mushroom head that I would call it. Doesn't look like Joel or Tommy or whoever. 3 people there. Is that Abby maybe? Someone's on fire. Who is it? We can't tell. Here we have Tommy and his wife. In this angle, it looks like it's a different actress from who was in season 1, but I don't think so. From this angle, she looks different. Tommy's got a cut over his face. So is this after the battle they just had with that giant herd of clickers? Who knows? It's making me think that this is happened kind of right after the end of season 1, after Joel went on his crazy ass rampage and just blew everybody away to save Ellie. I mean, over here, that looks like a number 1, as in like floor 1. Something MAB, I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. If this is that same facility, this is like essentially a hospital or a makeshift hospital. That looks like equipment in the background. They have some type of guard system there to protect them that obviously did a shit job if people went in there and blew everybody away. There we have Ellie shooting off a gun, but is she shooting at humans or a clicker? You can see her using like way more advanced weaponry. In season 1, she kept wanting to use a gun, and Joel was like, no. But now she's here and she's using M16s or M4 or whatever it is. They ran into a subway to get away from the guys. It was like a skull with a Santa Claus hat on it. That actually doesn't make sense. First off, I forgot to mention that this actually released on Outbreak Day, September 26th, which is the date the outbreak happened in the game. Not, I thought it was the day that the game came out, but it's the day that Outbreak happened in the games. Whatever the significance is behind September 26th, I don't know. Having a skull with a Santa Claus hat on actually doesn't really make sense because if this happened in September, I mean, why would anyone be walking around with a Santa hat on after that? How could this person have died then in September with a Christmas hat on? That doesn't connect to the story at all. From this angle, it looks like a regular hat, but from the other angle, it looked like a Santa hat. But clickers seem to be a way more aggressive in this season, but also way less advanced in terms of progress. Like, why are they still relatively human? But it didn't happen in game 2 either. They're essentially just more advanced clickers in terms of their deformities and whatnot. So why are there so many early stage clickers running around like crazy? Here they are in the subway. So are they trying to hide from these creatures? I'm assuming they are. So this is probably a shot from part in the end of season 1 that we didn't see, where she was about to be experimented on, and she's like, "No, don't do that." But I mean, they do end up drugging her because that's the state she was in when Joel finds her. You can just take someone's blood and not have to kill them. Is he about to say it out loud? But because he looks really like angry. But is he angry at himself? Is he angry at the lady for putting him in this position? And he's angry, but he's also crying. So I'm sure he's torn up about, hey, his daughter dying, even though it's like been 20 years. Get over it, dude. Just kidding. I have a theory that season 2 starts pretty close to the end of season 1, and there is as huge as a gap as there is in the game world. I look to that moment where they're playing guitar, and you can see there's a bandage on Ellie's arm. So she's in the process of giving her own tattoo. I keep saying she's giving it to herself, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't recall any part of the game 2 where we saw her getting a tattoo. She just had it already. But it seems like they're incorporating her making her own tattoo as part of the show, just like her, which looks like she's learning how to play guitar. That seems to be the vibe. It's a nice little shot of them get the sun kind of breaking through. And is that a symbolism of some sort? Joel has a weird look on his face here, like one eye's a little bit closed, the other eye's open. He's like pulling a Popeye, and is he kind of like here? He hasn't told her at the end of season 1 yet. Obviously, they're getting along, but she finds out and she flips out. So here, is he grappling with still having to say it? Perhaps this is the exact scene where he tells her. Like game, he told her in a different area of Jackson. Here, it almost seems like it could work. They're there hanging out already, and he has that look on his face like, I tell her. Almost like half of his face is saying no, half is saying yes, tell her. I mean, the way the lighting is, it's very halving his face, which is a very common thing, but half is kind of like the dark side, the light side. One side saying tell her, the other side saying no, you don't need to. You can just live your life, know that you did the most selfish thing ever in the entire world. Yeah. He really has that look of like he's just about to tell her, like, I should just tell her. He takes a deep breath and he says, Ellie, I have something I need to tell you. See, we'll find out in season 1 or season 2, 25. So perhaps somewhere in the first quarter. Season 1 came out in January 2023, but I'm not saying that season 2 will start in January. I think it'll be like February or March, somewhere around there. But we still have like about six or plus months. We see season 2, and likely they'll have another trailer. There you have it, my friends. That was my half-assed, off-the-cuff analysis of the brand new trailer for season 2 for HBO's The Last of Us. Everything I just said was off of memory of the games, but I'll put a little picture up for any names I forgot or any information I got wrong. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this trailer. Do you have any hypotheses? Do you have any hypotheses about anything I said? Was I completely wrong? Was I completely right? Definitely some things are changing for the show that's not in the games. So I'm curious to see how much of that they do and how much exactly like the games and how much has been changed for the sake of the story and for the sake of what I'm assuming they're going to do is split game 2 into 2 seasons. But only time will tell. I'm sure we'll be at least another trailer, one more before the show comes out. So once that one comes out, I will analyze that one again with my half-acidness. If you like my half-acid trailer, let me know what you think down below. But of course, don't forget to like and subscribe and to always keep gaming.